Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy that you are with us today. Thank you so much for that. Before we get into the history of ketchup, first we need to tell you about our good friends at Farmers Defense and what they have available for you.
Farm and garden in the ultimate comfort. Farmers Defense has lightweight and durable sleeves made to protect you against the elements while farming. Farmer sleeves offer unparalleled protection of arms and skin for any farmer, gardener, or outdoor worker. Say goodbye to irritated skin and sunburns in their garden. Their sleeves offer cooling comfort and protection against the elements outdoors. An alternative to thick clothing. Farmers Defense is made of wicking material with UBF protection factor 50+ to protect you from allergens and scratches. To find all their great products and more, visit farmersdefense.com. Well, Joey, we're going to talk about a very popular condiment.
Well, it's not what it once was.
Nothing is what it once was.
So the history of ketchup, we've got a short segment, or only a short amount of time in this segment to talk about. This is like an hour-long History Channel, what food once was and what is now today type of thing.
Absolutely. And I think that it's kind of a neat history in the way that tomatoes were originally thought of poisonous because tomatoes are part of the nightshade family. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people thought that they were poisonous. So this has an interesting history because it didn't stem into tomato-y something until it got to America, and we'll get into that. So it started in China, the concept of ketchup. You can kind of do more research on your own if you want to find out about how the word ketchup came about. But as far as a condiment, it was based from fish or oyster-based sauce with some sort of vinegary or like a white wine base. So it had that tanginess. But
it wasn't from tomatoes.
No, it was not. So
basically
it was like
from a seafood.
Yeah, it was like
dressing,
a tangy fish spicy sauce. And so then as it moved on to England, I can't talk, England. And so that's another thing to note is when it was in Asia, it was distinct from soy sauce. So there was soy sauce, which has been around, which is a fermented sauce. This was not a fermented sauce. So there was that difference. So then in England, there was the very first published recipe for ketchup, and it was described as a thin mixture of vinegar, white wine, anchovy shallots, lemon peel, horseradish, and a pestle of spices. And this was published in a magazine called The Complete Housewife. And it's just saying that...
In 1727.
1727. So some sort of publication. So that was the base. And it's very much the base of ketchup now with the vinegar or white wine. And then also not necessarily horseradish, but a lot of ketchup has... Yeah, or anchovies. But a lot of ketchup has things like garlic or onion, some sort of that spice in it. And then other spices. So it started... very similar to what it is now in the culinary sense, but then it's evolved. And the ketchup became a catch-all name for basically some sort of vinegar-based sauce with spices and a base. And at one point, they used kidney beans.
Okay.
Do you want to make kidney bean ketchup?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, what else can we put in here?
Well, the reason why is because many years ago, you had limited access to certain things.
Correct.
So if you had a bunch of kidney beans, you could
convert them to some type of a sauce.
Let's make this into a sauce.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe you didn't have, lemon peel that week or whatever, and so you used kidney beans.
Right.
I don't know.
But for people who don't like horseradish or are allergic to seafood or anchovies, back in that day, I guess, I don't know if allergies was a thing or you just ate it and you fell over dead and they kicked you to the curb and figured, well, something wasn't right.
I think that's what happened. Yeah. You were like, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Not. Yeah. I guess you just didn't enjoy it. I'm sure that there were allergies, but like you said, if it was extreme, then it was extreme. I don't know.
Well, it came in the early 1800s is the next journey in this ketchup history.
Yeah, so this horticulturist added strained tomatoes to his vinegary concoction. Yeah, he had tomatoes, and he was like, let me just add those in there. And
at this point, they realized tomatoes were not poisonous.
Yeah, but they called them love apples. And I think you and I talked about that at one point in one of our shows, but we'd have to look that up. So then in America,
Yep.
they added sugar to it.
Right.
Because, sugar needs to be added to everything in America. And this happened after the Civil War when the trades opened up. They had access to sugar. Sugar decreased in price because they could get to the Caribbean.
More international
travel, trade, what have you. And so they added sugar. And then it became this tangy, sweet taste because they added more sugar. They added more vinegar. They had the tomatoes. They perfected, I guess, what you would call is ketchup now at this point. And it became very popular. And then capitalism came in. And capitalism enters the room. So in 1876, this German American named Henry Heinz came along and started bottling this up and selling it. And the funny part is that you know how it says like Heinz 57, the 57 varieties?
Right.
It was just an arbitrary number.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like, that's a good number.
So it had no significance whatsoever. No value.
No.
Because I know in the advertising world, now this was in the late 80s and in the early 90s, in NASCAR there was a Heinz 57, or there was a Heinz ketchup car, and they specifically wanted the number 57 to correlate with the brand. But it's just a catching, it's just like a WD-40 type of thing. I'm sure there's some significance there, but it's a number that becomes recognizable to the brand.
Right. And so, I mean, obviously there's a bajillion kinds of ketchup now. But at the time that was the main one,
right.
The only, whatever. But I think it's kind of funny that he just said, he advertised.
Pick a number.
It was for the fact that he bottled up a bunch of different condiments. And then he said, 57 varieties was just a number that he picked because he thought it sounded good. And by 1900, they were selling more than 60 products. Mm-hmm. So maybe like in his head, 57 was his goal, and then he surpassed it.
Well, some people have unique favoritisms towards certain numbers.
I mean, I do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You don't?
No, I don't. No, not at all.
Somebody asked you your lucky number, you wouldn't name a number?
No. You create your own luck. You work hard to make things happen.
I'm not saying that you don't create your own luck, but if somebody said pick a number, what number do you always pick?
Well, it depends on what the range they want me to pick from.
Okay, any range. What number
I don't have one.
You don't have one?
No, I don't have one. No.
No? No, like 112?
No.
No 85?
No.
No.
No. What's yours?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, okay.
It's my lucky number.
Oh, it's that. Okay.
It's 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that has brought us so much value and wealth that number.
I'm not saying that it's like lucky per se. It's just like my default.
You can only have 3 one time there, ma'am.
I have other numbers if I need more than one digit.
Okay.
Okay. But that's my standard. So anyway, yeah, Heinz capitalized ketchup and did the 57 varieties. And now here we are today. I know for me, I like the
Well, that's the thing. Now there's a handful. I mean, that's your big one. There's a handful of other ketchup manufacturers now. I don't know the number or how many of them are tied into the same corporate owner that just puts out 6 different brands, but the big boy owns all of them. But a lot less sugar. They're sugar-free or organic or not, no corn syrup in them, whatever that is. There's much. One size doesn't fit all when it comes to ketchup, like maybe it once did in 20 or 30 years ago.
I think so. I think there was, 20 or 30 years ago, there's probably just your 2 or 3 main brands. There's like, the Heinz, the Hunt's. There's another one, Red Gold. Mm-hmm. And then there's probably some off-brand or whatever.
The store brand. But now there's a lot of ketchup. And I know for me, I personally like the stuff that's made with cane sugar versus the high fructose corn syrup. Right.
I can't talk. And it has nothing to do with quote-unquote health. It has to do with the taste.
Right.
But you grew up eating homemade ketchup.
Correct. Yeah, homemade ketchup, which doesn't have... It was more of a runny ketchup. It wasn't that firm, it's made a pile and you run your French fry through it and it stayed firm peaks, like you would make a pie, or what do you call those, whipped cream pies or coconut, a firm peak.
What now?
The ketchup, like the store-bought ketchup, you can put a pile of it on a plate and it's going to stay in the shape you basically poured it.
Kind of, yeah.
Homemade ketchup, the one
It's very runny.
is very runny. What I grew up with, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't care for it.
Yeah. No. Well, you didn't care for it because we made it with cinnamon.
Clove. Yeah.
It got a little bit better when we didn't add that portion.
Yeah, that's true. But still, I don't know. I think I just like the store-bought manufactured ketchup. I don't know. Are you going to make ketchup ever again?
Well, we'll make ketchup again, yeah.
All right. Well,
now that there is so many publicly available varieties of tomatoes, you got your Cherokee purple, you've got your giant white, you've got your yellow tomatoes. I'm sure somebody's listening. Maybe if you've done this, let us know at gardentalkradio@gmail.com. If you've grown, 70 plants of one variety and made ketchup, purple ketchup or white ketchup or, yellow ketchup with those particular varieties of tomatoes. I'm sure it can be done.
We did that. We did yellow ketchup.
We did. Yeah, I remember yellow ketchup. Yeah.
We never did purple.
No, or white.
Or white. White would probably look kind of weird.
But also it depends on each type of tomato has its unique characteristics and the amount of sweetness or what it's best to use for. There's some tomatoes that would not be good to make sauce out of because it doesn't have the juices and the characteristics that you would need for a sauce tomato.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess for me, I don't mind the homemade ketchup like you said. It's just not the same as, you have this, when you put it on like a hot dog or something, it's a little bit different. But dipping was good. Yeah.
So with that being said, if you want to control the beetles and grubs invaders without affecting the rest of your ecosystem in your yard, then Grub Gone and Beetle Gone are the solution to your problem.
Phylums Grub Gone and Beetle Gone target a wide range of invasive and destructive beetles, weevils, and borers without harming non-targets such as bees, ladybugs, butterflies, earthworms, or other beneficial insects. You can purchase these products locally in Massachusetts at Ward's Nursery, McHugh Garden Center, and Hyannis County Country Gardens. In Connecticut at Van Wilgen's Garden Center, in Maine at Salisbury Organics, in New York at Fadigan's Nursery, and Ohio at Berlin Seeds. Phylum Bioproducts target the pest, not the rest. PHYLLOM bioproducts.com. For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.